Hello, everyone, and welcome to Deb TV, dynamic, empowered, and bold. And today we have another episode of Transformational Tuesday. I'm your host, Deborah Darris, motivational speaker, author of Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, How to Achieve More with Less Effort, and marketing consultant. Today, you are in for a treat because we have a very, very special guest that I had the pleasure of meeting at the Periscope Community Summit in New York City. I was a panelist and had the pleasure of meeting this beautiful goddess that I immediately said, I have to have you on my show. And when you hear her story, you are going to know why. Please welcome Miss Danny J.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. And I've been so excited about this for the last couple days. So I'm really, really excited to be part of your community.
You have? Oh, good. Because I have been super off the chart excited, and I want to give you a proper introduction so people know all of who you are. Danny J is driven, passionate, fun, and full of laughter. Danny Johnson is a high energy speaker who can dish it to you straight. No chaser. No, I'm just kidding. But just enough sugar to make you want more. Danny J is a serial entrepreneur who has created multiple successful brands and online businesses with one underlying principle. You ready for it? Make people more awesomer. And I say, awesome sauce. So we're a perfect combination. She won, oh, Allie Brown. I know Allie Brown. We were in the National Speakers Association together. Sorry.
Oh,
Sidebar.
nice.
Yeah. She won Allie Brown's 2012 Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Lived through being paralyzed at age 22 and was a suicidal and pregnant teen. Quite a turnaround story. She owned a very successful personal training and online training business, No Excuses Fitness, and has helped thousands of people to lose tens to hundreds of pounds, my friends. She coached fitness competitors to the stage and has even graced the stage as a national level athlete and fitness magazine cover model herself. We have Miss Danny J.
Ba-da-da-da-dum.
I know, exactly. Da, 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 da. Fantastic. And so I think it's so important that, people hear the bios and they hear the introduction and all of our fabulous accomplishments. But one of the things that people come to Transformational Tuesday is to find out what was the metamorphosis. How did you go from that caterpillar to that butterfly? And I know that we've gone through some similar stories with adrenal fatigue. And
Yeah.
I'd love for you to tell the listeners and the watchers what your story is and how you became so fantastically awesomer.
I love it. So, obviously I do speak English better than that, but I always think it's funny. So I put more awesomer in there just because I like to joke around. But gosh, I have so many stories. I mean, just from the bio, obviously, I've been through a lot of challenges. When I was 15 years old, I went to a behavioral health center because I was suicidal. And it was there that I found out I was pregnant. They do drug tests on you and all these other tests. And like the second day, one of the doctors brought me into the office and he said that I was pregnant. And so the words out of my mouth were, okay, I'm having an abortion because I had planned on killing myself. So I just didn't really care about anything else. I had just been really, really depressed for a long time. I had been bulimic and just was over it. And I think in high school, you hear people say, these are the best years of your life. And I was like, if these are the best years of my life, then I have nothing else to live for because it's just going to get worse. And it's funny because I actually hate when people say that because I'm going, I tell teenagers, I'm like, look, these are not going to be the best years. Your life is going to get better and better, and it can get better. But when I was told that, I was literally thinking, well, this sucks now, and if this is all I have to look forward to, then I might as well just end it. And through a series of events, I ended up not having an abortion. I had my daughter when I was 16, and I placed her for adoption to an amazing family that I was able to choose. And through her birth, it just changed something in me where I felt like I found a reason to live, like I needed to. I couldn't imagine growing up adopted and then finding out your birth mother committed suicide and thinking that maybe it was your fault. And so I knew I had to find something to live for. And so I became very, very driven. And I graduated high school early. I just didn't want to be a statistic. And I think that's what kept me going. I was like, I'm not going to be that high school pregnant teen dropout. So I graduated. I went to college right away. I graduated college at 21. And then I became an acrobat right after college. And I was an acrobat at SeaWorld. I was working in Mission Bay, which is very polluted. And I ended up with a horrible bacterial infection in my blood, which got into my sacroiliac joint and it kept me from walking. So I was
Oh
paralyzed for
my
about,
God.
yeah. So I woke up, fell out of bed. I was 22 years old, couldn't walk. I ended up not being able to fully walk for about a year. And it was just another turning point in my life because I had this like, why didn't I just die? Like my whole life, this is what I've loved doing. My degree was in physical education. So I'm going, okay, if I'm paralyzed, then what good am I? You know, if I don't have my physical body, what good am I? And then I finally was able to walk and heal. And it's funny about the adrenal fatigue. It was like, I just didn't quite learn the lesson, I think. And I think this is why I went through the adrenal fatigue. So,
Wait, before you go on, can you tell
yeah.
people what adrenal fatigue is for those people that may not know?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically you feel like crap all the time. And no, here's what adrenal fatigue really is to me. Basically, you can get it from being overstressed. You are overstressed. It can be a physical stressor. For me, I was working out so much. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. I know a lot of new moms get adrenal fatigue from not sleeping, from being awake a lot. If there's a death in the family, just a big change. What happens is your cortisol levels, so our cortisol and our adrenaline, your fight or flight hormones, start to become raised. And then they're raised all the time. So we're constantly in this state of like hyper alertness, hyper awareness. And the hormones just stay raised for so long that your body starts to steal from other hormones. So it's going to steal from your thyroid hormones. It's going to steal from your sex hormones just to keep this heightened place. Well, eventually you just can't stay there. So there's a big crash. And for some people, they can stay there for a long time. Like there's basically like 4 stages of adrenal fatigue. And one of them is where you can go and you feel like you can do this forever, but there comes a point where you just can't. And I was at a place where I suddenly couldn't train anymore. I mean, I could barely wake up. My symptoms were like I was exhausted. I woke up in the morning, even after 10, 12 hours of sleep, I was still exhausted. I stopped having my period. My skin was horrible. There were just so many symptoms, which I actually thought was thyroid issues. And I got on thyroid medication and the symptoms were still there. So I really had to dig to find out more about adrenal fatigue and how I had put myself there. And it was basically just stress, no sleep, working out excessively, dieting excessively, and just pushing myself and never giving myself a break. And I'm just one of those people, like I'm a type A personality. And I think a lot of people who get adrenal fatigue are, because we're that person who thinks we can multitask, thinks we can do everything, wants to do everything. I'll sleep when I'm dead type person until it catches up with you. And then it's like, whoa, maybe I should have taken a break, like people said.
And it's so dangerous because our society encourages it. When
Oh,
I
yeah.
was in my height of my adrenal addiction, it was after my brother died. I didn't even realize until you said it right now that that was the trigger of it.
Yep.
And I felt like I'll sleep when there's no time. I could not maybe wake up tomorrow morning. So I'll just do it. And then people would say, well, how do you get all you do in a day? And I'd be like, I just get it done. And little did they know that my hair was falling out in clumps and that I was in the hospital with pneumonia because my immune system was completely blown out from the adrenal fatigue.
Totally. Yeah, your immune system is so compromised. And yeah, I didn't know that about your brother dying, but I've found that the more I've talked about it, at first I just thought it was fitness competitors. And then I saw a lot of flight attendants, nurses, people with like shift work, and then people who went through a major trauma like a death or a divorce or something where there was high emotion, a lot of stress, maybe just family stuff, or that's just on top of everything. Like you work a lot, and then this happens, and it just like throws you into this major just overload. And yeah, those symptoms like your hair falling, I mean, that was another, hair falling out, weight gain. I couldn't lose weight to save my life. And yet here I was, a personal trainer, eating super clean, working out every day. And I gained 30 pounds in less than 2 months. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And I was embarrassed. And that was the next thing of going, I'm fitness model. I'm a personal trainer who's an expert in weight loss, but I'm gaining weight. And how am I supposed to, like, who am I if I am an overweight fitness model? Like, you can't do modeling jobs when you're 30 pounds overweight. And so it was this second time where I was like, if I'm not my body, then who am I? And it's funny because I feel like I should have learned it after the paralyzed thing, but I guess I needed another hard knock on the head. But it really came down to, like, we're so much more than our physical bodies. We're so much more than how we look. And like having six pack abs, like people like me for me, even if I am 30 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds overweight, people like Dani, and not just because I'm a personal trainer or not just because I have a great body. And it took me quite a few years to get through it. It really took a lot to get through my dang thick head that I could have value and add value without just a physical part of myself.
Oh, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, when you think about, like my mentor Oprah Winfrey says, that we're in this soul class, this life class, and like how better to get you than to something that is so much a focus of who you are, your body. You know what I mean? But not as a punishment, but as a life lesson so that you could love yourself 30 pounds heavier and so that you could really change your lifestyle and educate others to change theirs. Can you talk about your path for healing and how you changed the way that you did things to be able to have success with ease and grace, as I like to say?
Oh, I love that. No, you're so right. It's like, I think I'm the kind of person too who has to learn the hard way for some things. It's like, I would have liked to say it's just easy for other people. I remember seeing like Gabby Bernstein when I was going through this, and she's so thin and beautiful. And she was talking about her eating disorders and how she could love herself. And I was like, well, it's easy for you. You're skinny and beautiful. And I realized like I had to actually accept myself and love myself where I was, even if I wasn't happy with where I was. I had to love myself at 30 pounds overweight. Even though I was fighting it for so long. I was like, no, I'm not accepting this. I'm not buying new clothes. I'm not going to go out in public. I'm not going to let people see me until I've lost the weight. Well, here I was a year later, still the same thing, same scale, same everything. And I'm like, I can't hide for the next 10 years until I'm ready to be seen, or okay enough to be seen, or perfect enough to be seen. So I finally just released it. I just said, you know what? What if this is the best I get? What if I'm going to be 30 pounds overweight forever and I never get back to that number on the scale where I thought I should be? I need to just accept myself where I am and enjoy life, because I'm actually really exhausted. Like, it was taking up so much space in my brain. I was so exhausted with obsessing over food, obsessing over my body, obsessing over how I felt, being embarrassed. It was like, it was just exhausting, and it wasn't who I wanted to be. And I realized I had an amazing husband who still thought I looked hot,
He is
who
amazing. I met him. I second that. He is amazing.
he's an awesome, awesome man. And I was like, it's not fair to him that I'm sitting here withholding myself and my body until it's just right. He's all down with the extra booty, and he was fine. So I just had to let it go. And now how it affected my job, which was really crazy. So I was a personal trainer and I focused so much on weight loss. And I started to question myself and my message. And I was like, am I hurting people? Like, am I going to put people in this position? Am I everything I learned? I mean, I got my master's degree. Is everything I learned wrong because it's not working for me? And so I started to really step back, and I think it helped so much for me as a trainer because I started to see things that I didn't see before. Like clients who would come to me and say, I'm doing everything you're saying and I'm not losing weight. I'm doing everything I think I'm supposed to. I'm eating this and that. And I remember thinking to myself before, oh, you're just not working hard enough, or you're probably cheating and you're lying about it. And then I started to realize maybe people were doing everything, but they had some hormonal issues. They just had a baby and they had things going on with their body. And I started to see this manifest in other people. And I was able to help them and go, you know what? This is just a hunch, but let's try this instead. And we would get through their blocks because instead of pushing them more, making them eat less, work them out harder, I'm like, this is just a hunch, but I think you just need a rest. So don't come in. I want you to go home. And then they call me. They're like, hey, I lost 3 pounds this week and I didn't do anything. I was like, I just had a feeling.
So are you saying that less is more, not to kill ourselves?
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes. So honestly, it challenged everything I learned. I mean, everything I was taught, exercise more, exercise more, eat less. And I was doing that and I was gaining. And so I switched it and I started to eat more, work out less, love more, obsess less, all of these things. And my body started to change. My mind started to change. The obsessions disappeared. I started to lose the weight very slowly, but I wasn't trying. And that was such a relief. I mean, like mental freedom, talk about mental freedom. So it just was this whole new world of completely opposite of how I'd been living, of go, 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 to like, let's take a break and let's go on a walk.
So the paradigm shift for you, and I think this is something I read in the book, The Power of Full Engagement by Tony Schwartz and Jim Lohr. They talked about the peak performance athletes that would win the gold medal. It wasn't the person that trained the hard, it was the person that allowed time for rest and rejuvenation, because our muscles need time to integrate what we train. And if we're always training, we're overtraining. So you're saying when you pulled back and you were more moderate instead of extreme, that's when you lost weight. Because that's what people want to know. When did you lose weight?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically when I gave up, it's so funny because I basically had an F it moment. I was like, so
Ooh, I like that.
I was looking at everything and I was like, okay, I'm eating super clean. I'm working out 2 to 3 hours a day and I'm gaining weight. Screw it. If I'm going to gain weight, I'm going to eat what I want. So I started to eat carbs and drink alcohol and eat nachos and eat chocolate. I was like, if I'm going to gain weight, I better just enjoy it. So that's what I did. And the funny thing was, and I just basically like gave up. I go, well, I guess this is it. I'm just going to be fat and this is how it's going to end. Like, I'm just going to end up being the fat lady. And what happened was I started to just go, like, I quit working out, started eating whatever, and then the scale just stopped. Like, it didn't budge any. I didn't keep gaining. I didn't start losing right away. But what was crazy is I stopped gaining. And I was like, well, this is crazy. I'm not working out, which I was used to working out 2 hours plus a day. And I'm eating like stuff that I haven't eaten in years. And all of a sudden I stopped gaining. So that was a pretty crazy. And then once the weight loss didn't really start until, I did that for a long time, just kept eating whatever. I was happy with the fact that I wasn't gaining, wasn't losing. I just was steady. But the weight loss started to happen once I finally just got okay with myself. When I started to just go, you know what? It's not so bad. I'm all right. I didn't quite love myself at that point, but I wasn't hating myself anymore. And then what happened was I lost about 5 pounds and then I plateaued for a good 4 or 5 months. And then I lost 5 pounds or so and then I plateaued. So it was very slow coming off, but I never once dieted. I never once went back to working out extreme. In fact, a couple times I tried to go back to working out and I started to gain again. So I actually kind of took a break again. I ended up taking a break from the gym for a little over 2 years. And in that time, I lost over 20 pounds. So I just realized that I can just take walks, enjoy being outside, go on bike rides, not doing anything extreme, and actually have the results I was looking for, and have food I was actually enjoying instead of restricting all the time and eating, dry chicken and broccoli. I was having margaritas on Sunday.
Success with ease, Grace. And I think one of the things that we, as I like to call it, type A plus personalities, not even type A, it's about moderation, because it's either all or nothing, extreme. Like, I was training for marathons and gaining weight. And I took a 2-year break and was just doing yoga and ended up, people are like, what are you doing? You look so slim. I'm like, nothing. I actually stopped running and started loving myself and taking time to nurture myself and honor myself.
It's so crazy. I mean, exactly what you said. I see so many people who decide, they're like, I want to run a marathon to try to lose weight. And they end up doing the opposite because it's so much stress on the body. It's a lot of stress. And you let go of the stress, you let go of the like demand on your body, the physical demand. I think training for a marathon can help with weight loss if you've never really worked out before and if your life is fantastic. But if you are working overtime and trying to do a marathon and you've got other kind of stress at home and you're a type A plus personality, it's just a recipe for disaster. And it's so crazy because like you said, it's all or, I mean, I was always an all or nothing person. I give my all or nothing. And so to walk the middle or to find a balance,
that gray area.
Oh,
it's so unknown and scary for us. It's like, whoo, that'll be great.
Yes. It's such a different place, but I mean, it's freaking magical. And I have, you know, it took me quite a while. I mean, I would say I started through the adrenal fatigue path at the end of 2009. And I don't even think I'm 100% healed because I know myself that when I travel now, I can very easily slip back into feeling some of the symptoms come back very quickly. So I know now that I have to take very good self-care. I know when I travel that I need to take a few days off afterwards and rest. I need to get, 10 to 12 hours of sleep when I come home from a trip because my body has to like catch up. And I think that it's made me a lot more self-aware of myself physically, but it's been such a blessing. I would have never thought that was about 5 years ago. I mean, I remember just crying like, why me? Why me? I never would have thought that I would be thinking that this was a good thing. And now I feel like even though it seemed like the worst thing at the time that ever happened to me, that it's the best thing. And it's allowed me to teach and also spot it in other people and help them get out of it quicker than it took me.
And I'm so glad you mentioned sleep because for a long time I would say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And, as a motivational speaker, when you go from city to city to city, I would see people that would be my mentor. And I'd be like, I would never be able to keep up with that pace. This one organization had me working till 2 in the morning and then we had to be up till 5. And I said, I cannot do that. My body won't allow me. If I don't take time to sleep, I'll get sick and then I'll be forced to sleep. So and I used to feel like I was lazy. And I saw an interview with my mentor, J-Lo, on the Fine Wine program. And she said, even with twins, she said, the most important thing for me in looking good is 8 hours of sleep a night. And I get it no matter what's going on. I'm like, what, J-Lo? That's awesome.
Right. It's so, so true. And I'm glad you said that about the being up to 2 to 5 and the being lazy, because when I started to really heal and go, you know what? I need to stop this and I'm going to just do whatever it takes. I was sleeping 12 to 18 hours a day. And I felt like I was being lazy and I felt like people were judging me, like, and my husband going, why is she sleeping all the time? But I knew that I didn't know if it would ever end. I'm like, am I going to sleep 18 hours a day for the rest of my life? Like, am I just that person who needs tons of sleep? But I don't now. And I know when I start feeling worse, that's when I start sleeping more. So if I'm sleeping 10, 12 hours, I know that something's up and I need to like check that and check what I'm doing, check myself before I wreck myself. but it's just, once I started to sleep 12, 18 hours a day, and then it was a little bit less, 14 hours a day, and then 12, and then 10, and then 8 hours of sleep. But now my sleep is so, so important because it's where my body starts to restore and repair itself. And it's probably one of the number one things I tell people with adrenal fatigue is you got to, number one, just rest. You have to rest. It's so, so crucial.
I always say, if you don't invest in your wellness, you're going to pay for your sickness.
Ooh.
And isn't that good, right? Come on.
Yeah.
And I'd rather invest the time in sleeping than have to pay for medication or have to be forced off work. So I know you do this amazing thing on Periscope called Wellness Wednesday. Can you tell everyone, first of all, for the people that are on another planet that don't know what Periscope is, can you tell them what that is, how to find you, and then what is Wellness Wednesday?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Periscope is my favorite platform. So I'm like social media, like queen. I love social media. I've built my brand on social media. I started on MySpace and Facebook.
Really?
Instagram. Yeah.
Oh,
so
girl.
I've always loved it. However, when somebody told me about Periscope in April last year, I was like, no, I'm not doing one more thing because I'm already spread thin on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and Snapchat. And so I actually just ignored it. And then my husband and I went on a 3-day road trip and I was like, well, I'm bored. I guess I'll just check out whatever this Periscope thing is. So I downloaded the app. So it's an app on your phone, any of your smartphones, except for Windows phones, which don't get those anyway. But it's an app, and basically it's live streaming. Like, you get to talk, people get to see you, you talk, you share, you show people what you're doing, and they can comment in. You can talk back to them, but they, you can't hear them, they can hear you. Super, super fun. And so I do I scope every single day, but I do 3 dedicated scopes and at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So Wednesday is Wellness Wednesday. And because I spent 10 years as a personal trainer, and I also went through my own stuff with mind, body, spirit, every Wednesday, we just do a topic that has to do with full body wellness. So when I was starting to think about scope topics, I thought I could do Fitness Friday, but I thought, you know what? I like wellness because it encompasses mental health, it encompasses spiritual health and physical. And I think it's just as important, if not more so important. And it's something that I ignored as a trainer and that I see now is so, so crucial. So we talk about everything. And I think mental health is a big topic I've been wanting to talk about a lot. Depression, anxiety that I've suffered with, and I know so many people have, and the spiritual side of us, because we are a physical body housing a spirit. And so, yeah, Wellness Wednesday, we just talk about something that has to do with wellness, whatever's on my mind that week. We've talked about brain health. We've talked about depression. We've talked about, actually last week, we talked about spiritual stuff. So it's just something fun that I like to just bring in my experience and expertise and just kind of get a conversation going.
And the cool thing about your scopes is if you miss those, they can still watch them. Give them the website address so that they can
Yes. Yeah. So all of my scopes are at dannyscopes.com, DANNY. So that's all my old scopes, but you can also find me on Periscope at dannyj.com, and it's DANNYJ.DOTCOM. So you got to spell .com.
DannyJ.com.
Yep.
I was saying if I ever remarried, my perfect husband his last name would be .com.
Oh, that would be amazing. So amazing.
Where's Mr.com? I'm ready for you.
Mr.com. Oh my gosh, there's got to be someone who's changed their name to that.
Exactly. So for those people that don't think burnout can happen to them, but maybe struggling with weight loss or maybe struggling to love themselves, what lessons can you help them shift from the mindset to be able to get out of that place of depression, anxiety?
Well, it's funny. I just did a scope the other day because I have an adrenal program that I'm doing with a handful of women right now. And I was thinking of messages that I wanted them to know. And we did some EFT, which is it's called tapping. So you basically are going to think of an emotion, like a negative emotion. And let's say, even though I'm really anxious right now, I love and accept myself. And so you end with, I fully love and accept myself. And so we went through this, and one of the women said, okay, that's great, but I don't feel like I love and accept myself. And I said, that is really good. So often we can't go from this self-hatred and disgust and I'm so nasty and I'm so fat to suddenly loving ourselves. It's just such a big jump. So
it's not realistic.
No, it's not realistic at all. And so what I suggested is you just go from that to just being okay with where you are today. So when I was the 30 pounds overweight, I was really I was so obsessed with I got to lose this. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I can't look like this. I'm gross. I'm not going to accept myself as I am. And then finally I was like, well, you know what? I'm here and it is what it is. And nothing's going to change by tomorrow. It's not going to happen overnight. So I guess I'm just going to at least accept it and buy some clothes that fit me today, or put on something that I don't feel so gross in. And so it starts with just accepting. I didn't love it. I didn't love myself. I wasn't loving my body, but I went from hatred to just being okay. I think you just have to baby step it, just accepting where you are. And then maybe when you start accepting for a little while, and then you get up one morning and you're putting on the pants that aren't so bad, you don't feel terrible. You might just look in the mirror and go, I don't look so bad today. So it's just incremental. You're I look all right. And there might be that one day you look in the mirror and you're like, damn, I look pretty good today. And you start to just move that direction. But it's to go from the thoughts of disgust and obsession and not being okay to like fully accepting and loving yourself is a wide chasm. So you just got to start with just acceptance. This is where I'm at. This is what's happening. And it is what it is. And so I think, you know, if you don't think it's going to happen to you, that's fine. But if it does, when it becomes inevitable, you're going to have to accept that. So I think just starting with the acceptance of where you are and who you are and where you are in life, it doesn't mean that things can't get better. And that's where I think sometimes we get mixed up is I thought if I accepted myself as I was,
stay there.
Then I was going to stay there and I had to be okay. And I was like, this is not okay. That's not exactly, we have to acknowledge what is, right? So let's say you're just broke, like you're in debt, you have bill collectors calling you. You don't want to stay there. You want to have lots of money, you want to have abundance, you don't want people calling you. But the reality is it's happening. So you got to face today, right? So you got to make a call or answer the phone and say, hey, I'll pay that bill. You have to face where you are in order to move out of it. So I think it's just super important to accept where you are so that you can just face it and you can move out of it. It doesn't mean that you accept yourself that you'll never change. It just means, okay, this is where I am. And I do not believe that your body will respond to self-hate because you're just attracting more of that. So the law of attraction makes you attract more. So if you start to accept and love yourself, you're going to find more things to attract and love about yourself, or accept and love about yourself. And then your body will start to manifest that love. But it's just going to keep putting on more weight. If you keep saying you're fat and you're obsessed with how disgusting you are, you're just going to get more disgusting.
Exactly. And I actually read this amazing book that proved what you talked about. It's called The Law of Deliberate Creation by Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Ooh.
And they, talk all about the law of attraction, Abraham teachings, etc.
Yeah.
And one of the things they say, they have an emotional guidance system, right? So
Yep.
they don't say, you don't go from I hate myself to I'm grateful. You go up the emotional guidance scale. So, what you were talking about, to go from disgust to hopeful, that maybe you could be at that next level. But it's so important because I was taking little mental notes, what you said. The first thing you did, everybody write this down, is you surrendered. You didn't give up, but you let go of the idea that, I hate my body, because whatever you persists. When you hated the 30 pounds stuck to you like glue. But when you surrender, this is one of the principles in my book, Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, is when you surrender, you don't give up, but you let go of the fighting of what is. And when you accept what is, like you said, then you can allow yourself to move along the emotional guidance to, oh, well, I like my booty and my husband likes it too. Or,
right.
I have boobs now, or whatever your thing is. When you gain weight, just liking the little things, and then you can shift, transform, and go to that next level. It's not surrendering, okay, this is the way it is forever, but it's letting go of resisting what is, accepting what is. And then when you do that, not miraculously, by the law of attraction,
right,
you magnetically attract that which you're embodying. But you have to embody it first. This is why it's that inside job that you talk about. People must be so lucky to have you as a trainer. I would love to have you.
Aw, thank you. Well, you know what? I don't even train anymore. Because I got to the point where, and this is where some of the spiritual stuff came in, is I was getting so many women coming to me for weight loss, and under more like digging, I'd find out that they were just in a lot of debt, or they were struggling with relationships, or they had other stuff going on. And I was like, you know what? I can give you a workout and I can give you meal plans, but you really need to deal with the other stuff and it will fall away. Sometimes our body hangs on to this weight as like a coat of armor, as this way to buffer everything else that's going on. And some people, it doesn't manifest as extra weight. Some people, it just manifests as headaches or fibromyalgia or some other kind of disease or headaches. But a lot of people were coming to me with weight loss. And I just felt like I could no longer, I'm like, you know what? You can find all the things you need to know on the internet. You know how to eat. You know how to work out. You know what you need to do. But what you're not doing is dealing with the real stuff. And I just didn't feel like anymore that I could write another meal plan or put another workout out there and not deal with what was really happening. And so I felt like there was plenty of trainers that were amazing. there were plenty of people who were putting things out on the internet that was better than my stuff or that I agreed with, and I could promote them. But I needed to talk about the deeper issues because it had happened to me, and I realized that I have influence and I have an audience, and there must be a bigger reason for all of this to happen to me. So I actually pulled all my online programs out. I took everything offline. So basically for a year, I was like not making a whole lot of money unless I was referring people out and doing affiliate programs. But I knew I had to provide something else because people needed something else. They were looking for weight loss when really they were looking for emotional freedom. They were looking for answers to their other struggles. And a meal plan and another workout plan wasn't going to do it for them. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, I don't even train anymore. I refer people out. I have some amazing friends that are trainers, and there's plenty of books. And I think the internet is full of information, probably too much sometimes. It's a little overwhelming. But honestly, I think if if this even resonates with you, I think you'll know in your heart or head saying, you know what? Like when you just notice about your brother dying, somebody will come up and they'll just kind of go, actually, there is this one thing. Like it'll click. They'll go, yeah, I actually did have, my husband cheated on me 2 years ago. And even though I forgave him, I still have these issues. Or ever since, I had a miscarriage, this happened. And so they'll know there's just a memory, and they'll go, maybe it's not about this. Maybe it's about that.
And I know that you're so passionate about helping people get out of debt, but can we have you talk about that on our next show? I would love to have you back to do a whole episode just on that.
Totally.
In the new year, people are going to really be ready for that.
Yes, we so need to. And that was kind of why I got into it as well. I noticed a lot of my clients who had binge eating issues also had a lot of debt. And there was a very interesting correlation between the lack of abundance of food and money. And so I just found
believe in scarcity, you're holding on, and then you're binging and purging, or binging and overstocking.
Yes,
is that it?
Totally. It's just it's the mindset. The same mindset that you have around food is the same mindset that you have around money. And so I really got into this thing. And in January, we're going to have something called Find the Money Project. We did it in November. Definitely doing it again. So I would love to talk to you guys about that, because I could go another hour show on this stuff.
Oh yes, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to book it right away.
Yeah.
I'm going to book her. Let my people talk to your people. Let's put it on the calendar. Tell me what it's called again. What is it called?
Find the Money Project. So it's findthemoneyproject.com. And actually, if they still go, I'm going to try to take it down. It was supposed to be taken down today, but it's still kind of up. But it's just, I started adding up the numbers. But basically, everybody who did the Find the Money Project found an average of $1,600 in 30 days extra. Yeah.
I'm on that program.
Right. And so I did that over a year. I'm like, that's $1,600 a month for the average person. So I, took the highs and lows, averaged it out, $1,600 for all the people that participated. That's $17,000 a year. That's $17,000 that could pay your student loan off, that could pay your car off, that can invest.
Each person had an average per month, $1,600.
Yes.
That's a rent payment here in Los Angeles.
Totally. I mean, it's outrageous, and it's amazing, and it's so empowering. I mean, the messages I got from people that they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this money was here, or this was available. The way they feel so empowered, it's unbelievable. And people losing weight, just because it's, once you start getting control of that, other things start to fall into place. So we'll definitely have to talk about the Find the Money Project, because it's so fun. It's been really cool.
It really makes sense that food and money would be related, because it's not the food or the money. That's the condition. It's the mindset. So if you shift from scarcity to abundance, you attract more money, and you also attract healthy body, whatever it is that you're desiring. That makes total sense.
Totally. It's so cool, and it's been fun to talk about and see like the light bulbs go off, and people go, oh yeah. But it's purely the mindset. It's, if you think there's not enough food, if you think there's not enough to go around, if you think there's limits, if you have those limiting beliefs, you're going to act out on that. And so if you think that there's not enough, you end up like overstuffing yourself and binging on food. If you think there's not enough, you end up having a spending problem, because you're like, this might be the last time I ever get $300. I'm going to go blow it, you know? So it's just really, really interesting. And it was interesting to see how I had so many clients who were very overweight, had major food addictions, and then had so much money and debt issues at the same time. And when I started to put that together, and then personally, my husband and I were working our way out of debt. And I found that as we started getting out of our own debt, I had less anxiety because I'm the kind of person that I will eat when I'm anxious, that I stopped binging as much. In fact, not as much, but it's just like the feeling went away. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. Like, I don't feel like I want to binge anymore. And I feel very calm and controlled with our money situation now. Whereas before, when I was stressed about the bills, not sure if we were going to make rent on time, that's when I would get a lot of anxiety and want to just go to the store and buy a, you know, bag of chocolate.
Exactly. I love it. My timer is telling me you are ready to end. Thank you so much, personal assistant iPhone. I know, I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. I could just talk to you all day long, girl.
I know
this
it.
is so amazing. So I know everyone that's listening, watching is going to want to stay connected with you, whether they're on Periscope or other social media. Can you tell them how they can connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first off, if you go to my website, DannyJ.com, it's DANNY, and then the actual period, don't write dot, but DannyJ.com, there's a download that you can get, and it actually talks about the 3 ways you're self-sabotaging your fat loss, your finances, and your dreams. And there's 3 mantras or affirmations that I use to help myself get out of it. So definitely go take advantage of that. Yes, it's super cool. And there's actually, the mantras are so pretty. You can print them and put them in little frames or stick them on your mirror or whatever, so you can just see those every day. So go to DannyJ.com, my website, and then you can find me on all the social media at DannyJ.com or DannyJ.com.
And I'm gonna
Instagram.
put a link in the YouTube description. And then if anybody has any questions, feel free to write comments and I'll give them to Danny J so she can respond back to you. But we're definitely gonna wanna be on your program that Find Your Funds. Who doesn't want an extra $1,600 a month? Come on that program.
Serious.
And
So
don't
exciting.
forget her Periscope. So it's 9 a.m. Mountain Time every day at Danny J.
Yep, DannyJ.com, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, so 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. And yeah, I'd love to see you on Periscope. I love my people over there.
Come on, Scope with Danny. Well, I want to just thank you so much. There were so many aha moments. The light went on. You confirmed so much for me, and I know for so many people. And what I love about you, Danny J, is that you have such a sincere passion for wanting to help people and for them not to have to go through what you did. And that's what I'm all about. The success with the Ease and Grace program is learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to be in debt. You don't have to be overweight. You can, and there's just this beautiful light that lights up in your gorgeous green eyes that is like the sparkle of, yes, I get it, and I want you to get it too. And it's so sincere, and I know that's why you're so successful, because you truly do this from your heart. And I only interview people on Transformational Tuesday that are light workers in the world. So I just want to say namaste, you know, thank you so much.
Thank you. I so appreciate it, Deb. I bet those words mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you all for tuning in. I know you could be watching Reality Housewives of Beverly Hills or Atlanta, but you choose something that you chose something that was empowering and that is going to transform your life. And you know what our saying is here at Deb TV. Sharing is what? That's right, caring. So I invite you to share this on all, you like that? we all say it together on Periscope.
What?
So I invite you to share this on Facebook, share this on Twitter, share this on Google+, wherever your peeps are, because you know that they need this information and they're gonna thank you for being wealthier and healthier with Danny J. Hey, I like that. Healthier and healthier. Okay.
Hey, that could be my new show tagline.
Exactly. So I wanna say thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, my friends, with the power of synergy, anything is possible. Bye, Deborah Darris. See ya. Ciao, ciao.